With Violet away at the works, this left Richie and the Scottish twins to run the entire Little Western branch line on their own. Though this wasn't to last very long. A couple days later after Violet's accident, Duck had returned back from his 5-yearly service and was soon back to his own jobs on his branch line. But despite the fact that Duck was back, the Little Western branch was still one engine short. And the 4 engines had to make up for the backlog that had just happened. Thankfully, though, the engine in question would be arriving a lot sooner than expected. It was during one morning when Ash arrived at the shunting yards early before his first passenger train of the day. His driver and fireman parked him in one of the sidings in the shunting yards while he and the fireman went off to the station cafe to get some breakfast. Since Ash had a while before his first train, he decided to take a little nap to pass the time until his crew got back. He wasn't aware of how long he had been sleeping when he was awoken by the faint sound of a whistle.
Hello? Is anyone there? Must have been the wind.
He then began to doze once again, but then began to stir again, and when he heard the sound of an engine coming into the yard. He woke up and saw the new engine. It was a BR standard 2MT tender engine. Ash couldn't believe what he was seeing, because he knew this engine very well.
Barry? Is that you?
Yes, it is, Ash. Good to see you again. This is Narrator, right?
Yeah, this is.
Excellent. Good to know that I'm in the right shunting yards.
Well, Sir Topham Hatt is away, but he told me to tell you to take that goods train over there to the Little Western branch.
Little Western? That's a strange name for a branch line. Sounds like a Great Western branch line. Train needs to be delivered. I'll do. See you later, Ash.
Okay, see ya.
Barry was soon coupled up to his trucks and he headed off towards the Little Western branch line. He was enjoying his run and was making good time as he puffed along the line. Meanwhile at Tidmouth Station, Richie and Duck were resting in the sheds after shunting, when they saw Barry pass by with his train.
That must be the new engine.
That's the new engine, a BR Standard 2. I thought it would be another Great Western engine.
This engine is doing us a favour and it's only temporary until Violet gets back. By the way, why are you making a fuss over that he's an LMS engine? We aren't rival companies anymore, and just to point out, Edward, Donald, and Douglas are LMS engines, and I don't see you holding a grudge over them.
That's because they are friendly. We don't even know if that LMS Standard 2MT is friendly or not.
And with that, Richie headed up the line towards the top station, leaving a very puzzled Duck behind. At Augsburg, Barry was being coupled up to some loaded ballast trucks to take to the Soda Search and Rescue Center. The tracks there were being reballast, and since he was going to the docks to pick up some new fish vans to take back to the Little Western, he was to drop off the ballast trucks on the way.
I must admit, this branch line is really cool. It's nothing like any other branch line I've ever seen.
Richie arrived in to collect some trucks to take to the wharf. He puffed up next to Barry and stopped, glaring at him menacingly. Barry noticed this.
Can I help you?
Yes. What's your name?
It's Barry.
Well, Barry, you have to leave. You're not welcome on this branch line. This line is for Great Western engines only.
Well, I'm just about to leave for these ballast trucks to take to the rescue center, and then I'm coming back here with new fish vans. Excuse me,
Richie.
Richie, I must be off.
Richie was speechless. Barry puffed off the branch line and was now making his way along the main line. He soon arrived at the Soto Search and Rescue Center to find a diesel there waiting for him. Now, several days before Violet's accident, Sir Topham Hatt had brought in a new diesel engine named Virgil. Virgil is a Class 35 high-mech diesel engine, the same class as Bear. He was painted in the same kind of color scheme that Bear was painted in when he first arrived on Sodor. The only difference was he had a different number, which said D7093.
Thanks for bringing these. Now we can reballast the tracks.
No problem.
A little later, Barry had collected the fish vans from the docks and was making his way back towards the Little Western branch. But then, as he was pulling into Tidmouth Yards, he saw Richie again, and the Great Western Colic goods engine wasn't too pleased to see him.
I thought I told you not to come anywhere near the Great Western branch line.
Richie, what do you have against me? What did I ever do to you?
Nothing. Except the fact that you're an LMS engine.
Oh, is this what this is all about? Rivalry? We aren't even rivals anymore, are we?
To me, we are, and your class are rivals with mine.
The two engines argued until the Scottish twins came up to break up the fight.
Stop it, the both of you! What are you two arguing about?
I'm just trying to tell Richie that we aren't rival companions.
We are.
We aren't.
Alright, you two, that's enough. Barry, be on your way. Me and Dougie will handle Archie.
Alright.
As Barry left the yards, Donald and Douglas spoke severely to Richie.
Archie, what is your problem with Barry? He's done nothing to offend you.
His brothers and sisters took my brothers and sisters' jobs away because they were stronger to pull longer and heavier trains. My class was left for scrap. I'll never forget what his class did to my brothers and sisters.
Of course, what Richie said wasn't true, but the reason why he hated Barry so much was because one of his siblings had replaced him back on the mainland, which caused the Colic goods engine to hold a grudge against the BR Standard 2s.
Alright, Richie. We understand why you don't like him, but the past is the past. We don't expect you to be friends with him, but for Sodor's sake, stop pitching a fight with the poor engine.
As the days went by, Barry was working very hard on the Little Western branch line, and he was good friends with the other branch line engines. Well, minus Richie, though. Then one night, Barry was being prepared to take the Flying Kipper. Usually, Henry would be taking this train, but he was away on the mainland, so Barry was asked to take the train instead. Meanwhile, at Crovan's Gate, Richie was being coupled up to some coal trucks to be taken to the small railway. Both trains were soon ready to depart, and when the guard blew their whistles, they were off. Barry pulled the flying kipper out of the docks, starting off nice and easy. But Richie, on the other hand, wasn't trying to be careful. He wanted to get to Tidmouth Station first before Barry did with the flying kipper.
Come on. Get moving, you lot.
The trucks grumbled and groaned as they followed Richie out of the yards and out onto the main line. Unknown to the two engines, they were heading straight for disaster. It was a little after midnight as Richie sped along the main line. His driver was becoming concerned. "Slow down, Richie. We aren't running a race." But Richie wasn't paying any attention. He was too busy thinking of what he would say to Barry when they next met. Because Richie was going so fast, he arrived at Tidmouth early, and the signalman was not expecting him so soon, and the point were still set for the main line. Instead of being swerved through the yards and towards the branch line, Richie found he was still continuing along the main line. Richie's driver shut off steam and applied the brakes hard. Richie skidded to a stop, but now he was on Barry's line and he would be arriving any minute. All he could do now was to reverse his train back to the switches and then wait for the signalman to switch the point so he could continue on towards the branch line. But just as he was about to back up, they heard a whistle in the distance. Richie tried hard to reverse his train as quickly as possible, but his wheels began to slip on the greasy rails.
Come on. Full speed backwards.
Further up the line, Barry was steaming along nicely. The signalman had set the signal to danger, but by then, Barry had already passed the signal, and he didn't know about the danger ahead of him until it was too late.
Oh dear Lord, brakes!
Barry's driver applied the brakes as quickly as he could, and the van bumped into one another, but it wasn't fast enough. Barry had slammed into Richie, knocking him a few feet away from his own buffers. No one was hurt, and both Richie and Barry were still on the rails, but Barry was furious with Richie.
Oh, look what you've done, you idiot.
What I did? You smashed into me. You should have seen the red signal. Why didn't you stop?
I was just passing the signal. You know, I can see the signal changing when I'm passing it.
Oh, and I was supposed to know that the signalman had read the point set on your line, you rusty black scrap iron.
Grrr.
While the two engines had been arguing, the crews had been inspecting the two engines, and they soon realized that they both had a problem. After trying to shout over the two engines, they were finally able to get their engines' attention. "You two, we've got a problem. When you both collided into each other, you both broke your cutoffs, meaning that your reversing gear is jammed in reverse. Both your trains are fine, but you both aren't going anywhere but backwards. The signalman is called the Solar Search and Rescue Center, and they're sending Virgil to help us."
I hope it won't take too long to get going.
No, I need to get going first.
No, I do. You haven't noticed I'm taking the flying kipper, and if I don't get going, the fish will go bad.
Who cares, intruder?
Everyone will care.
Shut up, intruder.
For the rest of the hour, Barry and Richie argued with one another until Virgil arrived, but his presence didn't stop the argument, so the only method he had to stop them was to blast his horn.
So who am I taking?
Me, the fish needs to be delivered.
Forget that who would want to eat snail and fish?
Shut it, Western, or should I say loudmouth Western?
Why, I oughta.
Quiet! I'm trying to think. Let me see.
Yes, loudmouth gave Virgil a chance to think.
Barry, wait till I get my buffers on you.
Richie tried to move forward to bash into Barry, but he just kept on banging his train, and this was starting to annoy Virgil.
Richie, I swear on the name of my designer, if you do not shut up, I'm going to... Wait a minute. Of course! That's it!
Made your decision.
Even better!
Virgil ran around and coupled up to the rear of Barry's train.
Looks like you've made the right decision.
But Virgil wasn't done yet. He had to work fast in order to clear the main line. After half an hour of shunting, Virgil was done. Both Barry and Richie were very confused.
What was the point of that?
Yeah, you just switched our trains around.
The point is, since both of your reversing gears are jammed to make you lot go backwards, so the best solution of solving that problem is to switch trains around and pull them tender first.
Virgil, can you at least help me? This train is too heavy.
Fine. Once Richie and I are clear, you can proceed to the yards. If you need any help, just whistle.
Oh, don't worry, I can do it. Just get the flying kipper delivered.
Alright.
Virgil, with Richie in tow, left with the flying kipper. Barry, once he was given the all clear, headed towards the small railway. Both trains were able to make up some time along the way, and both Barry and Richie were sent away to be repaired. A few days later, Barry and Richie were back at work on the Little Western branch. And by the next day, Violet came back, which meant Barry's time on the Little Western branch line had come to an end. Violet was told about what had happened, and she couldn't help but laugh along with the other engines. Both tender engines seemed very embarrassed. The morning after Violet had arrived back from the steamworks, Barry was waiting at Tidmouth Holt Station with a ballast train to take to Netford Harbor. He was waiting for the line ahead to be clear. Just then, Richie pulled in with a passenger train.
Oh, hello, Richie. Here to torment me again?
No, I just came here to apologize of how I treated you. I didn't mean anything I said to you. I was jealous that you could pull more than me. I'm sorry about what I said.
Apology accepted.
So, friends?
Friends.
After that day, Barry and Richie were now firm friends. Richie sometimes helps out on the main line to help out the other engines, and Barry sometimes helps out on the Little Western. Richie's hatred towards Barry's class members has been forgotten about. But a rivalry still exists between the two engines. As for Violet, she had learned her lesson after her accident, and after being told how to handle ballast trucks, she now helps out with passenger and goods work on the Little Western. She still shunts in the shunting yards at Tidmouth, but Sir Topham had to change the schedule a bit so that Violet could take care of a couple of Oliver's trains. This arrangement set well with Violet, and now, with her and Richie working on the Little Western Branch, and with things finally settled, the Little Western Branch line was back on track, and the engines of the Little Western Branch had Violet and Richie to thank for that.